nilikuwa ndani ya shamba, basoda wakanikamata, wakanibaka.
Ninatambana huku pote damu tupu.
Ndio bakafanya mwezi mzima biko na mimi mpori.
Huku tunakuwa na service ile ya kawaida na hii ngambo ndio tunakuwa na service ya wale wa mama ambao wakubakwa.
Meet Dr. Dennis Mukwege Mkengere, the director of Panzi Hospital in Bukavu, located in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. When we first met him, he had just arrived from a trip which took him more than 2 weeks, and back home, this group of women was kept worried.
Na nilisharudia. Lakini sasa tu mwisho wa mwaka inaanza, inamalizika. Programu ya operation itaanza tena sawa kawaida. Huko ningali natengeneza programu juu ya mwaka kesho.
It is unusual for patients to rejoice upon learning that they will soon be operated on. We later came to realize that to these poor women and girls, it was the only option towards normal life. And that is what has made this doctor different from the rest, not only in Bukavu, but in the rest of the world. Gynecology is a scientific study and treatment of diseases and disorders of the female reproductive system. That is exactly what Dennis Mukwege Mkengere went to study in France 23 years ago, and little did he know that years later, his acquired experience will be the only hope to these women who are now caught up in the endless cycle of armed conflicts. Despite plenty of natural resources, including vast mineral deposits, the country currently is faced with many challenges. For decades now, the area commonly referred to as the Great Lakes has been synonymous with instability. Being part of the region, the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo has been hosting tens of armed groups from amongst its citizens and those from neighboring countries such as Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. Regardless of their affiliations, in the eyes of these women, all the armed groups are responsible for the gender-based violence in the eastern part of the country.
Sisi wanawake tunakuwa tunajiuliza kama vita ilikuwa ni juu ya kugandamiza tena zaidi mwanamke au je.
In ancient times, rape was seen as a reward to the victors. Women were often kidnapped as spoils of war and forced to marry their captors. In more modern times, random rape cases have been witnessed, particularly when and where forces lack discipline. Recent changes, however, are confirming that rape is now increasingly being used as a tactic of war. The act is no longer a byproduct of it, but an extension of the battleground. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, countless women and girls are raped systematically day in, day out. Gender-based violence in the eastern DRC continues at an alarming rate.
Wakati wa vita ya pili ya dunia waliweza kuua wanaume walibakia, na wale wanawake walipobakia waliolewa wakazaa na nchi ikaendelea kuwa na watu wengi. Lakini hizo vita za kienyeji za hizi siku zinabaka wanawake, zinaua wanawake.
Rape is part of the wider violence directed against a woman, and it includes acts that inflict physical and psychological suffering. It is an act of violence against the victim's will, and women and girls are forced into submission by the use of physical force and threats of harm. It is sudden and unpredictable.
Wakati wale wanawake wako wanabakwa na maradhi yanaambukizwa, yale maradhi yataambukiwa pia wanaume. Ni aina nyingine ya genocide ambayo haizungumziwi.
Numerous requests to interview members of the armed groups were unsuccessful. However, we managed to talk to a young demobilized soldier and asked him about the allegations. Rape has evolved from a largely random event into a premeditated and organized act of terrorism during warfare. Its consequences have motivated Dr. Mukwege to develop this special unit.
Na sasa tunakuwa na hospitali ya vitanda 350. Na kwa hivyo vitanda 350 karibu 250 tunavitumikisha kwa wale wa mama ambao wamepata shida ya kubakwa na jeuri mbalimbali kwa hii kipande cha Congo.
Unable to sit comfortably, this woman lies on a bench writhing in pain, awaiting surgery. Daily, a team of doctors perform up to 8 reconstructive surgeries in this room. From here, victims are checked for sexually transmitted diseases and the level of damage.
Tangu karibu zaidi ya miaka 5 tunapokea wamama 10 kila siku.
As the act of rape itself is violent, some parts of the body end up being torn or ruptured. In a situation where a woman is not only gang raped, but also the barrel of the gun or a stick is inserted into her genital, the womb, bladder, intestines, rectum, blood vessels, and the nerves are among the most affected. After a brief counseling before we interviewed some of the rape victims, we had an opportunity to listen to stories from some of them. We found out that age was no barrier.
13.
Sasa niliamkia kushamba kutimbua mihogo. Naona binaume hivi vitatu. Abi kunulisha tani. Na balikuwa na mabunduki.
Nikienda kunyumba, niko nalia na njoo damu ikaanza shuka.
Niko tamu pori, nikwenda Msombe, ndio bakanikamatia kule. Ndio bakafanya mwezi mzima biko na mimi pori. Abanione bakwetu bakanda nitafuta.
Bakusema na nikamata na bali nialabisha, balienda kukamata mti, balikuwa wanakata mti sawa ule. Ase mbona mti ule? Tumtii huko ndani hakufa.
Kikumba Sogoti is a pastor in one of the churches in Bukavu. He explains how a faithful recently shared how to deal with the congregation.
Amezaa mtoto wa 6, yuko naye mkononi kabisa na anafanana watu wa ngambo kabisa. Hata baba utafika yuko anamleta kanisa. Yuko anamleta kanisani kila siku, na alisema kwamba watu wengine wanangoja kuuliza ushuhuda wa kuvamiwa. Mimi ushuhuda njoo mumuone mtoto huyu kweli ni mkongomani huyu.
Katika mbuga ya wanyama, nyama dume haiwezi kupandia kitoto. Haiwezi. Nyama dume pia ukichunguza vizuri katika mbuga haiwezi kupandia dike isiyokuwa kwa wakati yake.
Both girls we talked to are now mothers of babies they did not intend to have, and chances are that they will never get men to marry them. One of the girls' family has shown less interest in her, while the father of the other victim says he was already finding it impossible to take care of his daughter. He is therefore not prepared to take care of the grandchild.
Wakati unahudumia mama ambaye alikuwa bila uzazi, na siku moja analeta mtoto anakuambia, daktari, nimepata mtoto sababu nimepata matibabu kutoka kwako. Utaipatia ina value ya hela ngapi?
Na hapa balinipokea kweli, na balinitunza, na hivi nilishapona.
In most communities, rape victims are not accepted back, and in this case, a number of victims have made this place their home. If left unattended, many rape victims end up feeling dirty, humiliated, rejected, and depressed, conditions which may lead to suicide. After experiencing such an ordeal, a conducive environment for these girls and women is crucial for that journey towards full recovery. It is for this reason that most of them will always be connected to Panzi, a place where they're taken care of, a place where they're listened to, a place where they're given hope, and more importantly, a place where their dignity is restored.
I would like to get more men who can involve in fighting against sexual violence. I would like to get men to fight for the right of women, Because I don't believe that we can build this Africa without women. We need more men to support women in the reconstruction of Africa.